Hello and welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast. As always, we're powered by Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal have you covered. They can haul rock and sand, they do driveway work, they even build ponds and pond dams, and now can do horizontal grindings of large wood debris piles. Give Keith a call at 229-314-2048 or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is the proud premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello, and thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Let me encourage you as we get started today to like and share this video with whatever platform you are watching on. And please go to our YouTube page and click subscribe. We're trying to reach the 1,000 subscriber mark, and you could help us with that. Our guest today is Coach Aaron Coombs. He is the head men's basketball coach at Georgia Southwestern State University. Coach Coombs, thanks for joining me.
Tim, thanks for having me, man. I've heard a lot about your podcast and your show, and I feel very honored to be a part of it today.
Well, thank you, Coach. You know, you've been there. You've completed 5 full seasons now at Georgia Southwestern, about to enter your 6th season. I think most people in the area at least know who you are. But for those that may not know you or may just casually know who you are, give us a little background on your career that led you up to GSW.
All right. Well, first off, I mean, I have the best job in the world. You know, just being able to coach young men, be a part of their lives, you know, and get to watch them grow and develop them, not only as players but as young men. I mean, it's an ultimate calling, you know, and so I just feel very privileged to be able to do this. So I always say, you know, I've never had to work a day in my life, you know, but I started off my coaching career back in 2010 at a junior college in Oklahoma called Northern Oklahoma College. I got a call from one of my former assistant coaches from UNC Wilmington, where I played. And he was like, "Hey, man, have you ever thought about going into coaching?" And I said, "Absolutely." You know, and so he kind of got me hooked up there with a guy named Brett Weiberg, who was the head coach at Northern Oklahoma College. And I was there for 2 years. And it was some of the best 2 years of my life. You know, the sometimes JUCO gets a bad rap about things, but as a coach, just the access you have to your players, with the ability to work with them, but also just kind of be around them and get to know them and build those relationships and bonds. I mean, some of the best relationships I have with former players are from my first 2 years in coaching, just at the JUCO level, because you do everything together all day, you know. And so it was a joy. After a couple of years, I moved on to Missouri S&T, which is the University of Science and Technology. It's a Division II school in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. Had a short stint there. I was only there for 10 months.
Wow.
But I came out of that 10 months with the ultimate recruit. That's where I met my wife, Signe.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I definitely believe that was God's work, you know, moving me there at the same time that she got there. And we kind of hit it off right away, which was exciting. But then I moved, you know, and I guess I should backtrack just a tad. So I was at Missouri S&T for all of 1 month, and I got a phone call from Brad Brownell, who's at the University of Clemson, or Clemson University, however you say. And he was like, "Hey, I want you to come be my GA. You know, you wouldn't be treated as a grad assistant. I'd treat you as an assistant coach, but I want you to come be my grad assistant." And I was like, oh no, I just started at Missouri S&T, and obviously I had met Signey, and I knew right away that there was something there. Um, he's like, you got one day to think about it.
Wow.
I was like, okay. So I called everybody under the sun, and everybody and their mother was like, you have to take it. It's the ACC. You have to take it. But I just felt a strong conviction not to take it, which at the time was kind of crazy, because I mean, I was going to make more as a GA at Clemson than I was as a
Yeah.
full-time guy at, Missouri S&T. But I knew I had something special with Signey, and I turned it down,
Yeah.
and so it's interesting how that was a fork in the road in my life, not only in coaching, but personally. And so I left Missouri S&T after a year, and I went to Missouri Western to work for my former boss that I had worked for at Northern Oklahoma. And so interesting how that shift kind of happened. But I went to Missouri Western, and the good Lord opened up a door for Signey to come and coach volleyball there as well. That's when I really knew that, like, okay, this is
Something special.
yeah, and so we were there for 5 years, and then I had a chance to become a head coach at Oklahoma Panhandle State, which is an NAI in Oklahoma. One of the more remote places I've ever been in my life, but it was a chance to be a head coach, and so I went out there for a year, and was very fortunate and blessed that the president at the time gave me a little bit more scholarship money to recruit than what they've had in the past, and we were able to put a team together that we were okay. I think we were 17-13, but it's the most wins they had since 2003.
Wow.
And we were able to do some things in the postseason that they hadn't done in that decade, or excuse me, in that millennium, in the 2000s. And so in that 1 year, we were able to kind of leave our mark and leave it better than we found it. And then I got a phone call from Mike Leader asking if I would have any interest in coming to Georgia, and I jumped at that opportunity to come to Georgia Southwestern. And so that's kind of how I got here. It's been an interesting, what is it now, 14 years in coaching, but it's been so gratifying. And like I said, I have the best job in the world, leading these young men, and it's something that I cherish to my core.
And Coach, I follow you pretty close, not just being a member of the community, but also being the voice of the Hurricanes when Rusty Tundy can't be there. So I try to get to know your players a little bit and get to know you. The past couple of seasons especially, I know you've brought in some really good talent, and we had high hopes. And, man, the injury bug just seemed to bite us with some of the big impact players that were coming in. I want you to talk to me a little bit about the folks that you have recruited for the 24-25 class and the hopes that we have coming up for this year.
Well, the 24-25 class is still ongoing, but we have signed, I actually got it right here in front of me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys to date so far in this class, and we'll probably bring in at least one more. The importance of this class was kind of our bookend positions. So our point guard, we were losing Jalen Johnson,
right,
who was all league, and obviously our best player. So that was a major piece that we focused on. And then, we struggled a little bit inside this year, which for me personally hurt, just playing that position in college and kind of being familiar with that position. So the 1 and the 5 were kind of our bookend pieces that we had to hit a home run in. Like, we could not miss in those positions. And so those are the first 2 positions that we signed. We signed a young man, Matt Ansa, from Roane State, a 6'2", powerful, strong guard. That if you think back, is kind of a combination of Philip Burwell, the young man we had not this season but the previous year, and a little bit of Jalen Johnson of who we had this year. So it's a combination of those 2 guys. Phil's ability to kind of get in the paint and be physical and kind of get you on the hip and have his way with you. And then Jalen Johnson's a little bit of his elusiveness and shot making ability. So it's a really good combination of those two players. But what I'm most excited about is just that he's 6'2". He's really strong and athletic, and defensively, he can get up and pressure the ball. So that piece is vital for us. And then as we move over to the center or the 5 position, we signed a 6'10" kid who will be the biggest kid that I've had in my time here, Josiah Shackelford from Florida Gulf Coast, who so he's a Division I transfer that played for my assistant at Brunswick Community College.
Yeah.
And for 2 years there, he was a JUCO All-American, had outlandish numbers. He's a big-time rebounder, a powerful, forward, weighs about 240, but, a good athlete, has good mobility, really good feel and touch around the rim. So those 2 positions, I think we've really hit home runs at those 2. And, I've got to credit my staff for getting that done, because both Marcus Faison and Danny Zarzewski had very big parts in signing both of those players.
Right.
And so very excited about those 2. And then we've signed a couple young talent from Middle Georgia Prep. So there'll be 2 incoming freshmen. One's a 6'8" pick and pop 4-man that can really stretch the floor, but also has a little bit of a game inside around the rim. And then a 6'6" wing that is just a tenacious defender. It has the ability to knock down the 3. So we're going to be – this will be my biggest team I've had. So I'm kind of excited about that. Right now, we have 6'10", 6'9". I'm hoping to get a 6'10" this week.
Yeah.
6'8", 6'8", 6'8", 6'9".
Wow.
So we're going to – at the 4 and the 5, we're going to be pretty big.
Yeah.
And then on the wing at the 3, we 6'6", 6'6", 6'5". So length and size are going to be at a premium. What you're going to see this year that you probably haven't seen in my previous years. And then, a 6'2" point guard. And then we're still looking to bring in, another kind of combo guard. So I'm sure he'll be between 6 foot, 6'2". But on the wings and inside, we will be really big. So I'm excited about that.
That sounds like a lot of fun. One of the guys that's a big supporter of your program is also a sponsor for us. That's Marty McDonald, State Farm Insurance. Marty would love for you to go by and see him or Mary Lynn or any of their fine staff. They're located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. They can do the discount double check for you to ensure that you're receiving all of the savings that are available to you. Thanks to Marty McDonald, State Farm Insurance, for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Aaron, I want to kind of stay on recruiting for just a moment and get your thoughts on the portal. Since the inception of the NCAA transfer portal, we see a lot in the national media about guys moving from school to school at the big Division I level. How does that affect a school like GSW?
Well, what it's really done is it's given us the ability to sign talented young players, not necessarily freshmen, but just the younger crop. And so you look at like Jaquan Moore, who was runner-up for Freshman of the Year this year in the Peach Belt. Jaquan had offers, believe it or not, he had offers from LSU, Wake Forest, Alabama, Virginia Tech, and now he got hurt in high school, and that kind of hurt his recruitment a little bit. But guys like him have kind of fallen through the cracks a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's given us, and I believe the 2 freshmen that we've signed this year, if it wasn't for the portal, those guys are going Division I.
Right.
So for a school like Georgia Southwestern, it's helped us recruit more talented players that are younger in their development. But also it's helped us with recruiting junior college transfers as well. And if you look at how we've recruited in the past, we have been very JUCO heavy. Again, I've coached at the junior college level. My assistant was a JUCO guy. I believe in junior college. But at the same time, I also feel like it's hurt us because it's just opened the floodgates with kids being able to come and go. So you get those younger kids that are talented, or someone that that has 2 or 3 years left to play, and now they have a good year, and now they can get poached.
Yeah, and you almost have to recruit your roster again, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so um, it's the way it is now. I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan of it, especially the ability to transfer in league. Like,
Right.
I think that has hurt us a lot. If you look at, we lost Jared Adderton to Columbus.
Yeah,
We lost Philip Burwell to Lander. Well, those were their two best players this year.
that's
Lander
right.
and Columbus State's best players came from Georgia Southwestern.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a fan of that. I am a believer of a fit, and sometimes the fit just isn't right, whether that's the coach's fault or the player's fault. And so transferring, I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I do believe that being able to transfer however many times you want, I'm not a fan of that, but it's the way that the college landscape is. And so, I mean, we've had to get behind it and become a part of it. And so, I think what you're going to see with Georgia Southwestern is obviously a lot more transfers, incoming and outgoing. But I would say, to get back to your initial question, I do believe it's helped Georgia Southwestern because of the ability to recruit more talented younger guys that that you can put your imprint on. And as a younger kid, you're like a sponge. You're trying to soak everything in, and you want to learn, and so you have the ability to improve faster. That's
Right.
the attraction with bringing in freshmen and sophomores. But also, to be good, I mean, you've got to be old, so you
Yeah.
kind of have to have a good mix of youth and experience. So, but I would say it's helped us more than it's hurt us.
Coach, not many people get to go to work with their spouse. And you mentioned your wife, Signe, earlier in our broadcast. She is the Senior Associate Director of Athletics there at Georgia Southwestern. It's been a joy for me to get to know her and your family, your kids. Tell me what it's like to get to go to work with her every day.
Well, I think it's the ultimate blessing, and I'm not trying to earn brownie points or anything, but I mean, it's just, she gets this profession of athletics, and so for her to see it every day, now she sees it, and she's been a head coach, and she understands the coaching aspect of things, but for her to see the administrative side of things and how those impact the different programs and like decisions that are made at the administrative level impact programs, and how programs go about running, how we run our program, how baseball runs their program, or soccer. It's really given her the other side view, and so it just helps her understand the rigors of coaching, if you will, and then she has her own challenges that, again, that she can relate to me, and we can talk about, and we both understand. So whether she's working late or traveling, or whether I'm traveling or working late, it's just really helped our relationship, our marriage, our children, all those things, just being in the same field and then working at the same university, to where we're always around each other. We've been able to incorporate our children to where, they come to practice, or they can be with her, and sit in an administrative meeting, so it's just the ultimate blessing, and so, and her career is thriving, and she's working her way up the ladder on the administrative side. And so, we're just very fortunate to be able to work together at a school like Georgia Southwestern.
Another guy that's a huge supporter of Georgia Southwestern is our friend Will Peterson, and his company, One Digital, is also a sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. One Digital is a steward of business growth and personal development. They have insurance, financial, and HR platforms that provide you with a personalized, tech-enabled solution for a contemporary work-life experience. The One Digital resolves real problems for your business and your employees by fusing together things like benefits, HR, and financial services. It's really everything all in one. It's One Digital. Contact our friend Will Peterson. His number is 229-347-6289. One Digital is proud to sponsor the Integrity Sports Podcast. Coach, here's the fun question of the day, I think. I've gotten to see a good bit of you this spring playing adult church league softball out at our regional park. And Coach, in my role as the Parks and Recreation Director for Sumter County, I do a lot of people watching. And it just seems to me like you guys, you and your family, have become a real part of this community. People enjoy getting to know you. They don't seem intimidated to come up and meet you and that kind of thing. Talk to me about what it's like here in Sumter County. Does it feel like home yet?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things that makes Americus and Georgia Southwestern so special. It's just there's genuine and great people here, and so this has been home almost from the moment that I got here. And we've I will say this, it's taken some time for me to get invited to that church softball league. I'm a little upset about that, but but it's just being in things like that are important in a community like this. It's important to get out and meet people. It's important to be around people. It's important to be seen because Georgia Southwestern is the town of Americus, and Americus is Georgia Southwestern.
Absolutely.
And so it's important that those two connect as much as possible. And the relationships that I've been able to build and my wife's been able to build in our time here, I think will transcend our time at Georgia Southwestern. And it's just very special. And our kids are getting to an age now to where, they're making friends and relationships that are meaningful to them. So 100%, Americus is home. I've enjoyed every day here in this community. And they've been very embracing to me and my family as well. So now I will say this, I have to ask you this question now.
Okay.
We'll talk about a fun question. We're playing well out there in the softball league. I think we're going to be the 1 or the 2 seed in the tournament, but I've only had 1 strikeout all year. And it came from you now.
Yeah, I happen to be umpiring that game.
How do you feel about that? Just ringing me up?
It was close, Coach. Hey, Coach, it's now summertime, and I'm sure some of our viewers that are watching this today are thinking it's summertime. It's not basketball season. What are you doing interviewing a basketball coach? Well, I know you guys have some activities in the summer camps that you do, but tell us a little bit about what about it college basketball coach and program goes through this time of year.
Well, first off, this is the worst time of the year for me. My players aren't here.
Yeah.
We don't get to coach. And so I genuinely enjoy being around our guys, and so for them, going home over the summer and me staying here, that's hard for me, but it's all about recruiting, this time of year, and so it's about calling people, calling players, calling coaches, networking, watching a ton of film. I spent 6 hours yesterday in the film room watching, a bunch of different kids, and it's so this time of year, it's great because obviously it's summer. So, you get to be around your kids a lot more. You get to do things as a family, but as a coach, it's all about recruiting this time of year. Obviously you spoke on camps. We have a shooting camp starting Monday, and then we have a kids camp at the end of the month, the last week in June. And then we'll probably add one more in late July. But, and the camps are important because now you get to be around more kids from the community. You get to build relationships with them. And it's been cool over the last 5 years to see the kids that are repeats, that come every year and see them grow and develop, and so the summer is an important time. But it's definitely my least favorite time, just because, again, I don't have access to my players, to be around them, to watch them grow as young men, and obviously to be able to coach them and coach basketball. I talk to our players all the time. I said, as young men that are still playing, you get to compete every day
Right.
in practice, workouts, games. I said, man, I get 28 nights, if I'm lucky, 30 to 32 nights a year where I get to put on the coaching hat and, let's go, And
Yeah.
so right now those are far away, And so it's it's just, I don't want to say it's a bad time, but it's just, it gets repetitive with recruiting,
Yeah.
and spending as much time on the phone and spending as much time talking to these kids, especially when you're signing as many guys as we're signing. At least I will say this, that's an advantage.
Yeah.
Because if we only had to sign one or two kids, then summer might be really boring,
You'd be a little bored. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
um, but like I said, I mean, being in a town like this, being in a community that supports Georgia Southwestern, the summer is also an important time to get out and be seen and develop those relationships, just like you do the relationships with our players. So,
Yeah.
you have to be active every day in the community during the summer. And so little things like being able to go out and play softball, making sure we go out, on Fridays and walk around town and kind of see people and the businesses that support Georgia Southwestern and us. And, little things like going to play golf with a couple of donors here or there. Those are all important things that kind of happen over the course of summer.
And one of those people that supports Georgia Southwestern is Mark Tyler with the Fish House, and they're our final sponsor today. The Fish House is located at 224 North Jackson Street. Whether it's fresh fish, shrimp, oysters, or catfish in their seafood center, or a hot meal and a cold drink in the Fish House restaurant, they are a staple for the seafood lover in our area. Go by and see Mark Tyler or his staff, or you can give them a call for a to-go order at 924-5177. Let the Fish House provide a delicious meal for you and your family today. Thanks to the Fish House Restaurant for sponsoring our final segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Coach Coombs, I know you've watched this program several times, and I ask the same question to every guest as we wrap things up. It'd be really important to hear this from you. Coaching, and especially at your level, I know gets to be a grind, and it's a lot of long hours. There's got to be people behind the scenes that create your support network. Who are those folks for Aaron Coombs?
Well, undoubtedly, it starts with my wife, Signe.
Yeah.
She is our rock in our family. She's an incredible woman that without her, I would just be at a loss,
Right.
So it definitely starts with her. And I'll be honest with you, it's my kids, I mean, my kids provide great perspective just on life of what's important. Adley, my oldest, is 7. She'll turn 8 in July, and she's at that age where she wants to do everything with me.
Yeah.
And so it's really helped me evaluate what's important, and it's a great stress reliever and a joy to be able to spend as much time with my kids, as I have, and I'm able to do, especially this time of year. So my wife, my kids, and then, in all honesty, the most important thing, and I don't want to, I don't want to forget about it, but just my faith in the people from our church,
Yeah.
at Central Baptist. I mean, just being around them, and just my relationship with Jesus, and helping me stay grounded and focused. Those things are so important. And one of the best things about this community is that for my family, and I'm speaking specifically for us, is that we're in a community that we have a church that we feel like is home.
Right.
And so we're very excited about that, and the growth and development of our daughters, in coming up through church, and just having a church family that we can rely on and be with consistently just helps tremendously.
Coach, when I started this program almost 2 years ago now, one of the things we wanted to do was to focus on people that do their jobs in sports with integrity. And we certainly have seen that through your actions. You're not a guy that gets out and sticks his chest out and pumps himself up, but what you've done through your actions have shown integrity, and we appreciate that. I appreciate you being with me today, and I hope you'll agree. Let's do this again during the season, kind of midway through the season, so we can let folks know a little bit about those players at Georgia Southwestern. But this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Tim, and I've enjoyed it. I look forward to doing it again.
And again, we want to thank you, our viewers, for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Let me once again encourage you to go to our YouTube page and please hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a dime, and if we can get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, we can do much more with this show. For my friend Aaron Coombs, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So long.